All right, what's up, everybody? So today I decided to finally pull this thing out. I've had this for a little while, and I just wasn't sure how I was going to use this or install it or whatever. But Eonon sent me this, as you can see. This is a DSP amplifier box. Let's see, model A303. Now this unit is supposed to be designed to basically boost the output of a Eonon radio like what I have right here, right? And I've been using this for a long time, and my little studio little setup right here to test my speakers. It's just an old radio that I pulled out of my truck after I swapped into the newer one I have now. But and this worked great. So this is supposed to basically be plug and play and something that you can just connect up. Now, right to the back of the speaker, like no adding no power wire, no nothing. It's supposed to just connect up. So we're gonna unbox this thing and we're gonna see what it's about. And I was thinking about how I was gonna set it up, but actually let's just do the unboxing and then we'll talk about that after that. So let's just see what comes in the box. All right, so of course you got the unit. Just it kind of looks like a little amplifier here. All right. I mean, it just looks like a tiny little amplifier. And you can see it has a speaker out to car, so you're supposed to plug, this goes back to the vehicle. And then here it says big screen radio in, speaker in, right? It's got a little accessory high. It's got a little volume knob here. That's a push button and looks like IR blaster. And all right, so let's see what else is in here. All right, so we got a remote, fancy. Then you got looks like the IR blaster cable. Yes, it is. That's the IR blaster cable. And then this is the actual harness that is basically the same harness that's behind that radio, or at least it's supposed to be, right? Then you have a manual, of course, and you have the stuff you're never supposed to eat. Throw away, do not eat, please, everybody. All right, so basically that's everything in the box. So let's get this stuff out of the way. All right, so we kind of looked over this deal here. You see it has its own little fuse here too. But you see the front of it here. It actually shows the wiring schematic, which is kind of cool, I guess. Then you have this, and you have this little remote. Nothing special. And then you have this IR blaster that plugs in, I believe, right here. Yes, it does. And then this is the connection, the wiring. And it looks exactly like the one that comes in the radio. It has like the speaker levels, power, ground, all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be literally plug and play. So let's open up this little instructions real quick here, just to take a peek. Shows you the wiring diagram. Connect to the power interface of the aftermarket car stereo. Connect the 16-pin cable of the aftermarket car radio. Note the other end of the 16-pin cable needs to connect to the original car power connector. Shows you as an AC high. Before installation, please manually set the DSP amplifier box to the desired startup mode. So that's, I'm sure, accessory or high level, I'm guessing. Place the infrared receiver outside the dashboard to ensure proper signal reception. During installation, please make sure the side of the Eonon logo faces up. And I'm sure that's for heat dissipation, right? And it shows it right, basically how to connect it here. But let's see what else is in here. Shows you what's in the box. Shows you what the remote can do here. Long press, base button, and blah, blah, blah. So we'll kind of just experiment. So now, what exactly are we going to do and how are we going to get this done? So I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to be able to, because you can't just easily connect this and disconnect it, right? Like you have to unplug the radio. So what I want to do, I set my little setup here to work, and I have it connected right now just to these top speakers, the JBLs. So I have it set up to where I can switch it from amplified or non-amplified, right? So it'll be radio power or to the little sound digital amplifier I have over here. So we're gonna see what that sounds like, and there is a big difference, right? I mean, I don't even have the gain like very high on this amp, but there's quite a bit of difference going from a dedicated amplifier to the stock power. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna listen to that first, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect this new little Eonon. That's supposed to be a direct fit, direct connect, something that you can just do as you're installing your Eonon radio, right? So we'll connect it up, and then we'll see how much power difference, because so basically, if you didn't want to run power wire, if you didn't want to do, any of that extra stuff that comes with installing an amplifier, right? Run RCAs, just all of the extra mess, you could just get this to get a little extra power and oomph out of your stock radio, going to the stock speakers or a set of aftermarket speakers, whatever it is that you have. But this is just to make it easy. Now, it is kind of a little bit unusual to have a volume knob and stuff, because most likely this is going to be behind the radio. So I guess that's why they added the little, IR blaster, so you can use the remote. But to me, I mean, honestly, I'm going to plug this in, set it and forget it, right? And use the car stereo knob. At least that's what I'm thinking. It's how it's going to work. But that's the way I would probably do it, right? So maybe this is a little bit, it does say DSP, so I'm sure that probably has something to do with it. But so, like I said, initially what we're going to do, we're going to set this stuff to the side. I'm going to set the camera up to where it's right. We're going to get a sound demo of what amplified and stereo or radio head unit power sounds like, what the difference sounds like. And then I'm going to connect the amp up, and then we're going to see what the radio power with the amp connected to with the dedicated amp, what it sounds like. If it's a lot closer, if it's still far apart, or what exactly happens. All right, so I screwed up with my mic situation. You can't barely hear me, but you can hear the speakers going. So I'm going to put up when the radio is playing and when it's going through the little sound digital amplifier I have. I'll put it up. That's radio power. All right, so that was a demonstration of the stock radio and the little sound digital amplifier that I have, just to give a comparison of the difference between in the sound, and that's actually pretty dramatic. And I know I kind of messed up my microphones, but it should still come through pretty good. But now I'm gonna hook up that little amplifier, and I'm not even gonna cut the video, so you guys see me just disconnecting the radio and hooking it up. All right, so I'm just gonna speed through this because you can see me disconnecting the radio, plugging it into the little amplifier, plugging that into the radio, and then just allowing it to boot up. And then I'm gonna point to the little LED. You can kind of see it, but the unit is powered up and working. Okay, so I have this setup all kind of just rigged up right here as best I can. So you can see I'm just gonna load up Spotify, and then we're gonna do a sound demo between the radio with the Eonon A303 connected to it and compare it to the sound digital amplifier that I always use for my setup. So we're gonna see how dramatic or big of a difference there is between the two. That's the amplifier. Wow. That's the amplifier. That's this. I'm not even sure if you guys can hear me change it. Okay, let's pause this for a second. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys can tell or if the video is going to give it justice, but I can barely tell the difference in the sound between this A303 and that sound digital, which is kind of crazy. You're talking about a standalone amp. Well, I guess they're both kind of standalone, but one has much bigger power wire and ground and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's try another song and see how it sounds. Set up here. Switched it to that one. Set the bass drop. Let's play these speakers. Let's just do one more quick listen. Pretty crazy how well this little amplifier is doing. But now I just want to give kind of a little demonstration of the functions of this little knob and stuff, so just to see what's going on with that. Okay, so Okay, so obviously my mic volume is messed up, but you're gonna see I'm gonna go through this remote and stuff, and but you can kind of get the gist of what I'm doing, even though you can't really hear what I'm saying. Back on here.
Volume.
Okay, so that's the volume. Play something. Okay.
Maximum volume.
Maximum volume. Yeah, so the volume's working. So if you go to maximum, it tells you.
Maximum volume.
Okay, so that's
Bass.
bass.
Maximum. Middle.
Middle.
Minimum.
Minimum. So minimum.
Middle.
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 And maximum.
Maximum.
Okay, so let's go back to middle.
Middle.
Okay, so then
Treble.
treble.
Maximum. Middle. Minimum.
Let's turn it up a little bit.
Middle. Maximum.
It's definitely adding some treble, that's for sure.
Middle. Middle.
Okay, okay, so that's how that works. So if I press it,
Volume.
it goes back to volume.
Maximum volume.
Okay, so in my opinion, you want to leave it on maximum volume, and then just use your radio volume as normal. So let's try this IR blaster. Guess I should have lowered this. So let's unmute it. So I just muted it. So it has a mute button. Volume.
Maximum volume.
It does take a little bit of time to go up and down, but that's maximum. What about if I hit EQ?
Flat.
Oh, flat.
Classic.
Classic.
Pop.
Pop.
Rock.
Rock.
Jazz.
Jazz.
Vocal.
Vocal. I can hear the sounds. It does sound different. Turn this down just a little bit.
Custom.
Custom. I was wondering what that was. That's custom.
Flat.
Flat. That must be why they say this is a DSP, because it has some EQ curves. Alright, let's try the bass.
Bass.
Okay, so you can do the bass
Treble.
or the treble. Okay, so then,
Maximum volume.
okay, you just press the volume, goes back to volume. Okay, so that's what this is for. Alright. Okay, so that's just kind of like going through the remote and the little knob it has on the unit. But man, this thing actually works pretty good. I really can't complain. And sorry for the audio. I know I messed that up, but I'm gonna skip right to where the audio, you kind of get the audio back, and we can go from there. All right. So in order for me to do my switching, this is what I use right here. This is my little box, and I have the amplifiers and the speakers all connected to this, and that's what I do. So this way is just regular stereo. And then amplifier B is the amplifier I have connected. But that's how I have all this little setup done. So anyways, I guess that's it. So if you guys have any comments, any questions, asking about this, like I said, it's new. Obviously haven't put it into a vehicle, but I don't see what the difference is. My power supply, if anybody's wondering here, is just this little, I think it's a 40 amp maybe power supply. I'm not sure, but it's not. I mean, as you could tell, it ain't nothing great, nothing major, and that's where I get all my power from, for the radio, for the amplifier, for everything. The aftermarket, the sound digital. But like I said, I keep rambling. If you have any questions, any comments, put them down below, and I will try to answer them. And I probably will try to install this into a vehicle sometime soon, so we can see what that sounds like too. And of course, I'll be making a video about that. But anyways, all right, signing off. Everybody have a wonderful day. Peace.